LaunchLeft podcast. I'm Summer Phoenix, and this is
Rain Phoenix, a space for famed creatives to launch the next wave of music rebels. It's also an intentional space to highlight and empower all artists for whom radical creativity is not a choice but a necessity. Summer and I are joined for the first time at Gold Diggers
Yes.
in Hollywood, California, by the lovely and talented
Muna.
Yes, you pronounced it correctly. Congratulations.
Do you guys want to talk about what Muna is?
Yes.
Not only the name of the band and what it means, but what it is as a lovely little trio of ladies.
Yes. Ladies and ladies.
Ladies?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
I'm
like
here for
that.
this.
Ladies.
Oh, okay.
You like that?
And Hades.
Yeah. Hades. Yeah.
Is that Hades with a D as like the underworld?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
lady.
Hades.
Yeah. Yeah, we're a band. We're also like best friends, and we can't get enough of each other, even though we also drive each other nuts.
I was gonna say Katie doesn't really seem to be.
she
on
loves
that.
it.
Oh,
She
no.
is.
But-
Katie is.
loves
Am I
it.
giving that energy?
Katie loves it.
No, Katie. I think you're being judged.
Are y'all sisters or are y'all married?
Sisters.
Yeah, both.
Sisters, can't
Sisters.
you tell?
Are you sisters?
Yes.
Oh,
Wow.
that's cute. We're a college band.
We went to USC.
Would you
funny.
believe that?
Yeah,
What's your
totally.
association with USC?
We live in Los Angeles.
When I think of USC, I think of this nonprofit film studio, Elysium Bandini, doing a professor there was very kind, and we did like movies
Yeah.
with the student program, and they volunteered in hospital for kids.
That's
That's
pretty
my
nice.
association.
Yeah, wow.
That's great.
Really positive.
Yeah, you beat us.
Every private institution has its
ups,
peaks and
troughs.
you know.
And kind of does speak to our experience there. Like we were in like a music program that was a nice little bubble, Joe and I, and then Naomi and I were in like also the American Studies and Ethnicity School, which is like another cool bubble with really cool
there were only like
professors
30
in
kids
the school.
in it, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was
Are
pretty
you guys
great.
graduates?
Yeah.
We made it. We
Yes,
made sure
we
that we
graduated.
graduated.
Yeah, we got signed my senior year, and they were, or my junior year.
Your senior year.
My senior year, it was like midway through my senior year, and then I wanted to graduate, and so
What would you say people most associate with Muna that know of you?
There were queer pop band, probably.
Yeah.
Like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we're being frank.
Is that how you?
We're also
identify?
very good.
what do you as
As a
queer or
pop-
yeah?
as a
I
queer
mean,
pop band?
as a little boop under our name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I also think it's like the genre that is relevant today of bangers that are also very emotional. I
Mm.
think people think that that is part of what we do. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would say so. I feel like it's like music to get dressed to when you're fucking going to a party
Yeah.
in your own house and loving up
Period.
on yourself.
Wait, have you heard
I
our
like this.
music?
Yes, I have.
Oh,
I
okay. So you have. I thought
So
you
you've done a
were
touch
going
of
into this that like actually
well, I've
knowing
listened
nothing.
to your music.
Oh, okay.
I
okay.
don't like know where you live and what your names are or any of that.
That's fine.
Superfluous information. But
I
I listen
kind
to
of-
the music.
I
Great.
kind of liked
Word.
the idea that you hadn't heard any of our music and we
I
were
liked
just
it
going to
as
try and
well.
explain it to you what
Without-
it's
yeah.
Too bad.
we actually do a lot of choir work where the three of us make all the instruments.
She's heard
yeah,
the music.
Everything we do
So-
is with our mouths.
Which one of you is the producer guitarist?
Me.
That's Naomi.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you play guitar?
Nothing.
And
Guitar.
figures. And you're just here
Loser.
to look good?
Yeah.
And
Doing my
then
best.
You are the singer.
Yeah,
Yes.
only air guitar.
Do you also write all of the lyrics?
Yes, she does.
Yeah, majority.
Majority
Well,
of
for
all
me,
of
because
them.
when I was listening to some of the lyrics, I thought, I thought a lot of things, but
Word.
one of the things that I thought was, I wonder if they do any co-writing, and if so, how that would work, because it feels very personal as well.
Right. That's a really interesting question, actually, because I'm getting more and more interested in the world of co-writing because I think it can be really healing to like share that level of, you know, your personal insight with somebody else, especially like, I mean, with us, it started like we were friends for a long time and we had a relationship. And so I felt comfortable bringing stories from my life into our music and sharing with them. And I think as I've gotten older, it's just like working on becoming more and more comfortable bringing that level of authenticity into different creative spaces. But it is true that we released our second record, Saves the World, in September.
So good. Love it so much.
Thank you so much.
And
So fun.
and both
Thank
of the
you.
records are like, I'm trying to think like if there was any co-writing.
No.
Katie, you know there wasn't any co-writing.
No,
you don't
but
have
I
to be
tried.
demure.
No, I'm not, because I tried.
None
we
of
tried.
it made the
Yeah.
record. Yeah.
Generally, what has happened with me in the past is like I'll get in a room with somebody and we'll have a nice time together and really good conversations, and then when it comes to like actually doing it, I have like performance anxiety, and then the next day I'll write a good song.
I don't know if it's I don't like that descriptor, but
Why not?
because it's like who knows if the songbird was in the house, flew into the coop that day.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you're having a good hang, but maybe you won't write a
yeah, and
sweet
sometimes
tune.
that
I
energy
like the
fuels
metaphor of
another
performance
thing.
anxiety because I feel like writing a song with someone is like, it's sometimes more intimate than sex. So it's like, I can't do this actually right now because I don't really know you that well. And
So
yeah.
you're talking about with other possible collaborators, but
Mhm.
not with your band. When you're talking about having a good conversation and then writing a banger the next day.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about other people, but
Oh,
that's
okay.
interesting that I just skipped right over.
You did.
Well, like you've
we just
written
have a
stuff
certain-
in the room with
We-
us
right,
before,
I
but
have.
it's not. It's slightly compartmentalized, or it's like we don't. There's a lot of, I think, everyone. We don't. There's no pressure to do anything that doesn't feel good in that moment, and so a lot of it can be either compartmentalized or just taken really slow. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's very empowering, your lyrics, and that's why and you feel a sisterhood empowerment within them, and a sort of like, I feel like you touch upon often the idea of being enough versus not being enough, right? And one that particularly stood out to me was the one where you, and I could be wrong here but I think you said like, whenever I shut up or when I don't shut up. What
It's
was that lyric?
Revolution.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fucking dope.
Yeah, that was like a really important song for us as a band.
Yeah, way long ago. How
Yeah.
many years? Like,
Would you
Well,
say
years?
that because you're writing with someone else, or you think you are? You're in a room with someone, and you're like, I'm going to try to write, and it's really intimate. No, I'm not going to do it. And the next day, you write a great song. That directly has to do with the energy and the confidence from somebody coming in the room with you to like write, and you're like, wait, I can fucking do this without him.
Yeah.
But there's something about you needed that, like almost that other body to get excited about. For like, like you said, the bird is loose or it's in the room. It's sort of like that without that meetup, whether you wrote with that person or not, the next day you wouldn't have written the song.
I think that's really true. And I also think like part of the reason that I answer with this kind of ambiguity about co-writing is my view of songwriting is really like messy. It's like you don't know when you're actually writing a song. I think a lot of things are on the back burner in my mind at all times, and you don't know what is going to be a part of the creative process. So I do think that like the writing session the day prior like has something to do with it. Yeah, I think like for me it's like I'm writing songs like when I'm walking down the street or like working in a garden or having a conversation or like getting like
Yeah.
waiting at the DMV. It's like you never really know when the process is taking place, and every interaction you have contributes to the outcome. And like we write together also in the sense of it doesn't always have to do with just like you're coming up with the actual words. It's like I feel safe with them to say, oh, I want to say this, but is it better to say it this way or this way? And just choosing like this resonates with me. Like that's part of the process for Muna is like I'll bring stuff to them and they help me understand what is actually coming across to other humans in the way that like we want the message to be understood. And I think that's co-writing
They
as
help
well.
the like personal become more universal because they're like your universal ears.
We kind of
Right.
we kind of like vet the songs, or we're
Right.
able to
Yeah.
vet her ideas through us, and then if they resonate with us, we kind of hope that they would resonate with other people because we all have like very different upbringings and life experiences and everything. And if it touches, that part in your
Do you think your
soul.
music is relatable not just to queer,
Absolutely.
but to everyone?
Yes, absolutely. I think if you're sensitive.
I was asking a very obvious question, but I wanted to hear it.
I appreciate your
gusto.
agreement. No, seriously.
Just
I mean,
wanted
we'd
to
like
make
to
sure
hope
people
so.
hear that.
Yeah,
and
I'd like-
understand you're not like, we're niche and that's all.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
That's the truth with like, I mean, I think also with the whole pop moniker, it's like, yeah, they're fucking bangers, but a lot of the trajectory of the lyrics is very folk. I mean, you're
Yes.
very much talking about stories and literally, like you said, like you can write at the DMV. We are listening to you talk about like,
Right.
yo, the bee from your house came in and bit my leg
Yeah.
and it was in my car as I was driving home from your, it's
Right.
that same.
Right.
On it.
Yeah, you're on
I
it,
know.
man.
I mean,
you're impressive.
No, we appreciate it.
No, it's
I think-
awesome.
I think the cool thing about being a pop band as well as being a queer band, I think those are two descriptors that mean nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like
They're
it's
meaningless
everything
umbrella terms.
and nothing. Like pop is just what is popular, and queer is an all-encompassing term for.
It's just like non-normative,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, I don't know.
We're
whatever
really
you're
into that part. I mean, I don't know if you know about LaunchLeft or have had a chance to do any research on us.
We listened to Phoebe's episode.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. But
she's
yeah,
amazing.
the idea is to sort of highlight left of center artists, those who are outside the box and
Yeah.
doing things their way and may or may not have reached popularity or at least a kind of level of resonance with the public, but they're not pop in the obvious way that we think of pop stars like that. And what I mean by that are not legendary pop stars that did it their way, but more those that are manufactured. There's a kind of cookie cutter thing that will get you a hit. So, there seems to be plenty of shows and podcasts about pop songs or pop people that do it that way. And we were really interested in talking to artists that can't help but make music and art from a place of like, this needs to come out. I need to express myself.
Yeah.
And it may or may not become really popular. So
Yeah.
that's cool. But if it's not, it's also the opportunity to just share, how did you, like, why music? How did music find you?
Yeah.
And for you all, I know you said through school, but as children or when you before college, when did you find music, each of you, in your own way?
We all found music individually, like at very young ages. Me personally, my parents are both jazz musicians, and my grandfather is a saxophone player, and I took classical piano as a child. So music was just sort of like a part of my life, like a requirement to a certain extent that I took to kind of more in a fun and passionate way over time, and sort of had to like develop my own relationship to it. But that came, in adolescence, and when I started developing my own like taste in music and what I like to do. And then I discovered producing, and then that's just the one thing that I'm like good at. So yeah, just made sense. But yeah, JoJo.
It's not the one thing that you're good at, clearly. Okay?
That's nice.
Thank you.
Took the words out of me mouth. I don't really know. I don't remember a time in my life where I didn't want to do music. I think I just grew up wanting to play the guitar, and so then I just started playing the guitar, and then I was like, I'm either like not gonna go to college or I'm gonna go to music college, and so that's, what just happened.
There's a really cute like letter to Santa of Josette's. From like what age?
I don't know.
And like,
did you guys put that in that book?
Yeah, we
I
did.
think so. She's just asking for a rock star guitar.
Yeah,
And she got one.
and I got one.
I think it's addressed
Wow.
to Santa Mouse.
It was. There was a lot of specific folklore.
specific Maskin family folklore.
We just had
for
a lot of
sure.
animals. I think we had I think at the time we had like a rat or a mouse.
Santa Claus and Santa Mouse.
I think
it was addressed to
yeah,
both. It was very
it was both.
courteous.
Yeah, that was OG. Yeah, and then like my first instrument was actually the violin, which I still feels kind of sad that I stopped playing. But I saw an Andrew Bird concert when I was pretty young, and he turned his violin sideways and was like playing it, like strumming it. And that was like pretty much when I stopped playing violin, because my teacher was like, she won't hold it the right way. I think she wants a guitar. And once I could play a couple chords on guitar, like for me, my relationship, it's really interesting. It's like Joe cannot stop playing guitar and like Naomi cannot stop producing and like I cannot stop writing songs. Like I'm not necessarily passionate about like getting really good at any specific instrument. Everything's always been a vessel for songwriting for me. And I started writing at a really young age and it's been a constant, like I don't have an experience of like stopping writing for a long time after a project is out or something. It's just always been something that I do. It's shocking to me that other people don't do it. I don't know how you wouldn't do it. And I liked what you said about like this concept of people that make music because they like just have a need to. And I think that's been one of the hardest parts of transitioning into being a professional band because you actually have like commitments. You're like, okay, I'm going to have an album out like at this time. And how do you move into that realm and at the same time not release any song that you didn't need to write? So it's been like learning to balance those things.
How much do you guys feel like in power of your I was thinking about this, not about music, but it just, you bringing it up has made me relate it to that, is that how much do you feel like fuck the system and fuck that we have to like, you know, that we're signed and we have to have music out at a certain time and do it this way and it's become more of a job. Is there, you were talking about balance, is there anything in that balance that can be like, you know what, we're innovators, we're young, we're different, we're outside of the box, we're left of center, we're doing it differently, and in fact, no, we're not gonna release this song just because you guys are telling us to do it now? Then do you feel like there's any room for that, or is there like this like overlording, like we paid for your record so you must do what we tell you to do?
I don't think there
really isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, there I can say honestly that is the situation for a lot of people who are in hellish situations, and feel very sort of extra marginalized by, you know, the power structures that be. But in our situation, we just sort of made a gut decision with the person that we are signed to at the label that we're on. And when we met him, initially we were taking meetings with a couple of different people, and he was just the one that was like, look, I love what you're doing. I don't want to change anything about what you're doing. You can produce your first record. You can write all the songs. I'm not trying to change what you're doing because I like what you're doing. Just keep doing what you're doing. And that's kind of been the ethos up until now. And I mean, things have gradually shifted, and we've worked with outside producers, but it's never been because someone is telling us that we must.
Right.
I think we would have a different. It would just be a different situation if that was the case.
Challenged in the right ways, though.
Yeah, for sure.
The last record, we were pushed, I think, in ways that were initially uncomfortable for us, but I think resulted in us making so much of a better product.
100%.
And the limits make us, you know, like having a time limit or having like the need to do something, I think is good for creativity.
Yeah.
Also, we're a strong kind of three-headed dog when we come into the room. If someone suggests an idea and we're all just like, no. Nope. And then people are kind of just dropping.
Back to the underworld.
Yeah, back to the underworld. Back to Hades.
They've taught me a lot
Hades.
about that. Like being in touch with what you actually want and not just being a yes person. But I would also say, like, as far as your question goes about doing things a different way, like, I think we've been almost traditionalists up until this point in that we actually were really interested in like making records. Like we wanted to make albums. And I think we were excited. Like it's just a rare in this day and age to like have the resources to do that.
Yeah, I noticed the record that you released in 2019 is like 12 songs.
Yeah.
I was like, this is it doesn't seem like anybody's doing that now. It's like 6 songs. Oh, EP. Oh, single.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
And I was like, oh, wow, this is a super full length situation.
Yeah. And we got to take time to do it,
Yeah.
which actually maybe is the most like countercultural thing of the moment that
2
you
years,
can do.
probably.
Yeah, 100%. Is
Yeah.
like make people wait for the right time.
Right.
But I think we're now that we've sort of accomplished that. I feel like we felt after our first record that we needed to make another record. We felt compelled to make a body of work that felt really well conceived and thought out from start to finish. The first record had songs that we'd written when we were still in school and songs that were written, weeks before the album was turned in. And I think the second record was more of like a condensed period of time and like reflecting on a specific sort of set of notions and emotions and sounds and stuff like that. And I think now we're kind of
Notions and
emotions.
Song in that.
You know what?
Yeah, writing all the time.
We're writing at the DMV.
Is this a writing session?
Yeah, this is a session. We're in one. But I think we kind of want to move toward being a little bit more like carefree with releasing stuff when we feel like it. If we feel like it's fun to do that, we can be a little less like type A and tight asses about it.
Yeah,
But,
I think that's the next phase.
Loosen it all up.
yeah.
Well,
Working on it.
interesting. You talking about changing it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the other question I always like to ask is like, because I think for a lot of artists, it's a form of inspiration for what they do or why they want to express and share it with the world versus do it in their closet or, alone and just make songs and it doesn't matter, is activism. Like the things that you do to give back that inspires you to write, and might be just writing, but I'd love to hear from each of you what your form of activism is or what you champion that's positive in the world, that's addressing some of the many terribly negative and depressing things that are going on.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we kind of met via sort of like an activist-ish.
Oh yeah, like textbook definition of
Yes.
activism, I would say.
Yeah. In school, I was an African American studies major, and I was studying that sort of at the same time that the emergence of the Black Lives Matter movement and the emergence of that the epidemic of very public police shootings. So we had a lot of conversations about like racial injustice and I don't know. We were kind of like textbook lefties.
I mean, the
when we first
USD
met.
change movement was like happening at the beginning of our relationship, and I think brought us together in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
That was a kind of watershed moment at USC where there were two parties happening across the streets from each other. I'm going on a tangent. Is that okay? Okay. There were two parties happening across the street from each other. One was at the Pink House, which is like a legendary kind of like the frat house for the art freaks at USC.
100%.
We lived there our senior year, but we were sophomores at the time. So there was a party there. They were like selling liquor like without a license, and it was like pretty rowdy. And then there was a party that was like licensed at the school. Like everything was like permitted at the Black Student Union house, which was directly across the street. And the cops were called because of noise. And like 79 police officers showed up in full riot gear and invaded the party at the Black Student Union house and not the party at the Pink House. They told people at the Pink House to go home
and stay inside.
And stay inside and stay safe. And so that like was a big watershed moment because there were people that were like, we had friends at both parties and we were like going back and forth across the street that night. And it was a growing experience for us, and it was happening at the same time. I think that we like were starting to conceive of Muna as a project. And it's interesting like how all the threads, like kind of what I was saying about how you're always writing. We were talking on an interview yesterday about our song I Know a Place and how that song like got started, and that we wrote the next summer, June 2015. Like the Marriage Equality Act had passed, but at the same time the activism that we were doing like in spaces that were like primarily Black or like members of the LGBT community, but like there were people of color. It wasn't just white members of the LGBTQ community. Like I was like lucky enough to be more aware of the fact that part of our struggle as a community, particularly for like trans women of color, was still just primarily a struggle to be physically safe like to exist. So that was the reason that we like made those lyrics what they were, about laying down your weapons, because I was like, it's not just about show your colors and dance and have a good time. It's like, don't fucking, sorry I swore, but like, don't kill me. So I think that like,
And this happened before Orlando.
Yeah.
It was like 6 months before that happened.
yeah, so I
Yeah.
think everything like
Yeah.
bleeds together for us, and we've talked since the formation of our band. We're very much like the personal is political type of flow, and I think that's part of Saves the World as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think we were interested post 2016 election and post a lot of like the overdriven nature of the like national political climate and conversation, in sort of discussing or being political below the surface, in the sense of like addressing truly addressing personal like trauma and problems, and like how you move through the world, and how you can be a better person, or try to be a better person, by just being honest with yourself, and how that will inevitably make you hopefully a better member of whatever community you're a part of. I think that was kind of a little bit of the ethos behind the second record, or as it developed, that kind of became the conversation.
Definitely.
100%.
And
Yeah.
that conversation, or that I'm asking, I guess, is like, once you address that, is it the same conversation that you're sort of having to, have with yourself? Is that something that you then want to bring out? Is that the beginning of like then relating that to the world? And is that the beginning of that activism? Does it start with a conversation? Does it start about, because I know like, especially, it's like people have so much fear about what is okay to say, what is okay to think, and for me, I'm totally ignorant consistently across the board about everything. And so I'm always like, my first step is always a question. And then I think that always has to lead to conversation. And is that where we go? Is that how we start?
I mean, I would tend to agree with that statement. I mean, it seems as though you're saying that you're a self-aware human being, to the extent that you know what you know and you know what you don't know, and that's every single person alive on planet Earth. And like, if we can just move through the world with a level of like self-awareness and respect for other people, that I think kind of deflates the tension to a certain extent. Yeah, I mean, that feels like a decent way to start a conversation, for sure. I mean, I'm half Black, but I have to be honest with people when I encounter them. Like, I know that I have an extreme amount of privilege. I know what I look like. Like, I don't experience things that other Black or African descended people experience, despite one of my parents being Black and me having Black family and like a relationship to Black culture. Like, there's shit that I don't know about. Sorry for swearing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's not to say that it's just all about checking your privilege, but it's just having a degree of self-awareness.
Yeah.
And we have that in relationship to each other as well.
Self-awareness and compassion, I think, for the other person.
Yeah.
Like, by being self-aware, I think you recognize your humanity, and by recognizing your humanity, you recognize the humanity in everyone, hopefully.
Right. I think we have a long way to go, and like we have a lot to learn. I don't know. It's a worthwhile thing to reflect on, like how you approach activism in your art and how we're gonna change the world.
I thought that it was Muna Saves the World.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Yeah, there's
that's
a part of it, you know.
But
Yeah,
here's the way we were like trying to kind of flip it is like, I think there's we were starting a conversation almost towards like localization, even just down to the level of like just trying to save yourself. Like, we were really like, it takes a lot of bravery to look at your own story and your own patterns and your own like
Personal responsibility.
Right,
Yeah,
personal
100%.
responsibility, which people don't really like.
I know, but it's actually
hate
the only thing I think that will change the world.
Right.
Is if we
Yeah.
all were to do
100%.
that.
Right.
You know?
And it's really fascinating because it's like, I don't think that really you can affect yourself, but it's like you can't get somebody else to be honest with themselves about, how they can change, like it's impossible to do, and it's actually a waste of your energy. So it's like zero control.
Yeah.
So we've been really interested in that, and like I felt so lucky to get to really dive deep. Like it's actually crazy. It's like we're signed to a major label, and like I got to write a bunch of songs that like really talk about stuff that like I was only talking about with my therapist. Like it's amazing that we have the freedom to just go so deep. And one of the most rewarding things, so it's like by me having the opportunity to do that and taking it and like receiving it with gratitude and like us doing our best to represent that. Now we're getting messages from people like, this record like helped me understand like the things that I've been going through and like the patterns in my life that I've been feeling, and it's like led me through a process of transformation and growth. And it's like I couldn't have done that, I couldn't have talked someone else through it, but I was just talking for myself, and it ended up helping somebody else. So I think we're really interested in how that mechanism can be applied. But like I said, I think we have a long way to go. Like in terms of our actual personal lives, like I got really into gardening when we were making this record. Like Naomi and Joe are really great about like environmental sustainability. But I do feel like that we like, we're not as, I would like to be more outward facing. Like I've had a period of time that's really inward and like really reflective, and like I'm getting a bit sick of myself. I think it would be good to focus on other people a little bit more.
Feels like, I don't know, a time period. When is the time, Naomi, that when people are so sad because of the political atmosphere, they're making just really fun pop, you know what I mean? What, the 80s?
Yeah. I mean, whenever there's like a right-wing repressive government in power, there's like a tendency, I think, to make like, there's a tendency for kind of punk to come up in whatever fashion, whatever like counterculture revolutionary fashion, and very saccharine, like, please numb out to this music, pop music.
In a way, I relate to the saccharine. You know what I mean? I think we're
there's
all...
nothing, we want to be happy. I think we kind of want to make more happy music these days.
I think we all need it. Yeah, always.
yeah,
I mean, I think us
Radical
existing...
happiness.
Yeah, I think radical happiness is maybe the next Muna
They don't
thing.
want us to be happy. But if we're happy, that's radical stuff.
Yeah.
And I think the world is changing. Like you said, you're signed to a major, and they're letting you express yourselves. And what having the courage to be taking personal responsibility into your lyrics and into your art, you know, is wonderful. And it's actually being celebrated for the first time in a long time in a major way, right? So that's something to celebrate and hear all of us together, just like, woo, it's happening.
Right.
And also to like encourage other artists to use their voices in the same way. I mean, I'm a big fan of the poetics of activism in when you're actually making art and music, and not some sort of like, I'm going to stand on a podium and tell you my issue.
Right.
You know,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not into necessarily, I'm not suggesting that, but you can tell that the heart space of what you guys are doing is really about like your questions about society and your questions about everything that does bother you or elate you. And I love that it's juxtaposed with this almost saccharine pop, fun dance music. And I think that's what's really cool. And what I saw is very left of center about what you're doing, and very happy to be celebrating it here. I know you mentioned that you watched Phoebe Bridgers' episode of LaunchLeft. You know, the reason we know about you is because Phoebe spoke so highly of you on that show and said that she'd been listening to Muna a lot. And so that's how we found you. So then the other question we always ask is, you know, who are each of you listening to? Who do you think's kind of moving culture forward with their music, or just makes you happy to listen to? We'd love to know your opinion on that.
I'm not good at this right now.
I'm listening to the Georgia record. Have you guys heard it?
Brockhampton or
no, Georgia is this girl from the UK. I don't know where, but just put out a record called Seeking Thrills, and she's an amazing producer. It's like amazing pop music.
It's in the lineage of sort of a
I feel like
Robin,
I hear
but also
Fever
darker.
Ray.
Yeah, Fever
I
Ray.
hear who I also love. I hear Robin. I hear MIA. It's like I haven't heard a record like this in a long time. So I've been listening to that when I rollerblade.
I mean, the Caroline Polachek record
Yeah.
is really interesting. She's super cool. The former lead singer of a band called LaunchLeft, but she put out an amazing solo record that I love. I like
What's
the
that?
Ethan Gruska.
Yeah, I knew
I
you were
don't
gonna
know
say
how to
that.
pronounce his last name.
I think you did it.
Okay, good. He put out a record that I really love, and that's just kind of a folk pop rock, really
Right.
well produced, really just beautiful album. But I've also been listening to I don't know. I've been listening to kind of like
what you've been
like Sixpence None the Richer and
Cute.
like summery music, like the Sundays and just music that makes me feel good. And
I sent you. Did you ever listen to the Erin Ray record?
yeah, I did love that. That was really good.
We like this girl Erin Ray who's based out of Nashville. Who's like I was in Nashville recently and I like went through so many like rabbit holes of like where are the like who are the different queer people making country music, and I got really into the Orville Peck record and
That's great.
it's so great. You neighing?
It's just naying. It's
reverting to
It's
so
horse.
amazing.
That's what it made me feel.
Yeah, but you should check out the Erin Ray record. Putting on airs.
ERIN.
RAE. Yeah.
It's too bad she's not here and could perform a song on your recommendation, because that's what we like to do here is have artists launch other artists.
Oh,
But maybe next time.
I wish you could like edit it in. Yeah, some type of hologram.
Our friend Amber.
That's
I
cute.
love Amber.
Yeah, we
Oh, the
love
Japanese
Amber,
house.
Yeah, the
Japanese
Japanese
house.
house. She's incredible. She's a sweetie.
absolute bangers.
Yeah, we love her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really don't know. I'm just listening to Yaz.
Oh,
You've been
jazz.
listening to jazz?
Yeah, she
I
listens
listen to jazz.
As a rule.
Well, I've
Day
been
and night.
listening. I'm trying to like listen to a bunch of standards because I'm trying to learn them.
I'm not really listening to. I like standards, but yeah,
But that's not your.
I don't know.
What's your jazz?
you listen to
what's
Sam?
jazz- Speaking of
Sam
Left of
Wilkes?
Center.
I haven't listened.
Oh, the Sam
recently.
Wilkes record is really
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
he's a buddy of ours we went to college with. I used to.
Yeah.
If not, I'm listening to like Wes Montgomery or like who's the one piano
Like
Bill
jazz guitar player.
Bill Evans and like
We listen to
Joe
Bill
is a
Evans
sensual
and we,
man.
and we
Matheny.
like cook. You know.
yeah. I
That's,
just
what
like
we're doing.
honestly at this point it's like I'm trying to like read my book and listen to jazz and I light a candle. I'm listening. I'm listening to a book. No, I'm reading a book actually.
People listen to
Killing
books.
Commodore.
People-
I don't
No
know.
shame.
Killing Commodore. It's the new think Murakami's last novel. I just started it.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll
His
see how it
last
is.
novel.
I mean, I think it was the
Most
last one.
recent.
Yeah, not his last.
Not his
but-
final.
Not his final.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Are y'all reading anything?
I'm reading something.
She's
that
an
I
avid
actually,
reader.
It's called "Where the Crawdads Sing," and it is. I gotta say, my son was like, "Wow, Mom, I think you must really like that book. You're really just because it really." It's based in the South, takes place in the South, and the description is so beautiful. I often feel like the wind when I'm reading it, and I can smell
That's
the
cool.
brackish water,
Yeah.
and it really it's keeping me in there. I don't know. I think that there's like a whole murder mystery situation going down, which is not my jam, but I'm very much. It's like
The gothic.
Yeah. If
yes,
it's good,
there's
it's
like
good.
there's like some alcoholic themes and some child abuse, and I'm like, I'm in there,
Yeah.
and we'll see where it goes.
Wow.
I love like books that take place in the South.
Yeah.
I just
sounds-
reread Their Eyes Were Watching God
Oh my god! I
last
just
year.
gave that to my son.
Really?
Because he was like, "I need a classic," and I was like, "This isn't like Jane Austen classic, but this is classic."
It's a classic.
Yeah.
And it has an interesting history because like people were like,
It was a banned book, no?
yeah, people were kind of mad that a black woman wrote this amazing book, and it took a minute for people to like
They always
recognize
They're
it.
always
They
mad.
are. That's the classic that
They're
it
always
is.
mad.
And it has like a natural disaster in it. I'm super fascinated in fiction that involves the climate because
People don't like it. It's way too scary.
Well, there's this book called The Great Derangement by Amitav Ghosh, who's an Indian fiction writer, but he wrote this nonfiction book about how we don't see the climate in fiction because it's unbelievable. It's like it's kind of silly, or it's seen as like low art to
Or like
put-
pathetic fallacy, like too.
It's like too like what are the
ridiculous.
chances of that happening? But it's like this is a part of our reality, and it's going to be more and more so.
Yeah,
As we
that makes
saw.
sense. I mean, I feel like historically speaking, the climate has always been part of reality.
Right.
Yeah.
And like we used to have
Hopefully.
religions that were like pretty
Based
much
on
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
like God is
rain
creating
and
this.
thunder and
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Back to
yeah, it's really
Hades.
fascinating.
Back to Hades.
You know,
Back to Hades,
But
bringing
that's
it
nice.
all
All
back
back.
to Hades.
we all bring circular conversations.
Love that. Okay, you guys never talked about what MUNA means.
God knows.
And okay,
Let's do that one.
No,
Let's
no,
do
no.
that.
We were like, Luna's a cool word, and we were like coming up with all these horrible band names, and then we were like, well, Luna's definitely taken, and then someone was like Muna, and we were like, yeah, let's just do that. That's
Yeah.
that
Just
feels like good.
It means
Feminine
things in
energy.
different languages.
Yeah, it
Planetary.
means
Yeah.
something.
We're
Yeah.
into like the
Feminine, too.
world building
Yeah, it is.
thing, so it makes sense that it's like it evokes the image of like this feminine orb in the sky. We were like, cool, that would be a good place.
it's also like English and Spanish.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
global. Yeah. It means
Yeah.
a bunch of different things. It's interesting. Like in Arabic, it means desire.
Yeah.
It means like to remember nostalgically in Icelandic, right?
In
Like,
some
yeah.
native language, it means like waterfall.
in Finnish, it means a penis or egg.
No, it means
And
egg.
there's an
but it's
African language-
but
Yeah.
it means egg,
Interesting,
but
right?
people use it for penis. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that
right.
is
So
what it
it's
is.
like,
It's like,
penis in all caps. And then
Okay, that's 3 times that we've ever said penis on the
My
podcast.
kid's favorite podcast.
Great.
Because we've said penis so much.
Okay,
Good.
good.
Penis is not a bad word.
But there's an African
You know?
language where it means like homie. Like it's like, what up,
Yeah.
Mona? Which I think is cute.
yeah.
Yeah.
So many a thing.
What's your other question?
Oh, Shiza.
Shiza, right?
Shiza
Great song.
Permanente is
Yeah,
what I do.
yep.
That's, you know.
We've all been there.
My other question was, okay. So you guys, this was a new question. What arguments take place and
So many.
under what
A lot.
guy? Okay, fine.
A lot.
But that we always come back to the love.
Yeah,
Clearly.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing that's cool about this, it's like the project is outside of us and it's bigger than us, and so we keep doing that. But I mean, like we argue all the time, you know,
Right.
where it's familial arguments, and also it's like
Joe
you're
threatened to
doing
spank
something-
us yesterday.
Yeah, they're
the
being
studio.
so
That's that S&M thing
Yeah,
she
it
was
was
talking about.
really that's
Yeah.
Platonic S&M. It keeps us all in check.
Have you guys ever? Have any of you dated?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
we used to date. We
They
dated for
did.
like 3 years, and we fought all the time. And now
now they
We-
fight a little bit less.
we do. We have
Slightly less.
we
They,
have a
definitely less.
Joe's
definitely
the
main
less.
wounded
gripe
child.
with us because we trigger each other so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
and
trigger the shit out
so
of each
Joe's
other.
main. I think that's why you're gonna spank us yesterday.
No, all
No,
three of
y'all
us
were just
trigger each
y'all were
other.
y'all trigger the fuck out of me. I don't know why you think it's just y'all.
No,
Uh,
it's true. I mean, that's what an intimate relationship.
yeah,
Usually it
is.
just
but-
devolves into tears, and then we all end up like going out to dinner or something, and then everyone feels
Yeah, I
better.
mean, like it's
Like,
just
that's usually
it's
what
just
it is.
I think the thing that just makes work is worse. Ugh. Is commitment.
Slip of the
like,
tongue.
We're just committed to each other, and like I think it's just that there's something about the three of us that is that has been united, and we see the humanity and love for one each other
Yeah.
more than anything.
Are your periods synced up?
No.
No.
Oh.
Listen,
It only happened once on tour. It was the last tour. Remember?
there are some different are some different alpha wombs
Yeah.
in the rotation that I think
I don't know
are
who the
fucking it
alpha.
all
I don't know who the alpha
I thought
is.
I was the alpha womb. I'm not.
We think it might be Joe's girlfriend.
I think
now,
it's
right?
Kelly.
Right.
Just ages and where you're from and your names.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
If you want to.
Yeah. This is Mike.
I'm Mike.
I think it's
No,
fine.
we're allowed.
No, we're over
but
25.
Thank you.
Should
we
I
not
guess
say
I'm,
that?
I'm 25 still. I'm turning 26 very soon, but I'm 25 and I'm from Los Angeles.
And that was Joe speaking.
Yeah.
This is Naomi. I'm 27. From San Diego, which
Yeah.
is a place that exists.
Mm,
No
yes.
opinion regarding it other than it has good Mexican food.
Burrito.
Burritos are good, and that's
Indeed.
about it.
I'm Katie. I'm 27, and I am from the suburbs of Chicago.
Ciao.
Where are you guys from?
Awesome.
This was a great.
Summer,
I
I'm
should put my
42
cars
and
down.
I'm from, I don't know where we're from.
This is really, really fun.
Yay.
Hi, welcome back. Next up is our third launched artist from our digital single series, Simi Stone. This is part of the River Phoenix 50 release, and we're really happy to have her on the show. Don't forget to rate and subscribe. Follow us on all socials at LaunchLeft. Welcome to the show, Simi Stone. Simi!
Hi.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to
Thank
LaunchLeft.
you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being a part of the LaunchLeft digital single series.
Oh, I'm so happy to be a part of it. And thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's wild times we are in right now with the virus and also with the systemic racism on display, and so important that it is, and so important that, you know, all of us come together and work through this thing that we've just been avoiding, I guess, and or
denial or just ignorance or both, or it's so complicated because it's the very core of how the country started. So karmically, yes.
I know, and absolutely no, recognition of that, kind of sweeping under the rug, which never bodes well on something being understood and dissolved, right? So how could we ever think we were dissolving racism by sweeping it under the rug?
It's time. That's what I feel like it's time. And you know, the video that we had that I couldn't watch the video of the complete video of George. I think that really pushed everyone, every human being was pushed over the edge by that. Like just at the humanity in us. And all these conversations are happening now and people are freaking out. In a way, it was like, it took that to ignite the humanity to see the humanity of the Black man, you know, and finally be like, oh my, wait, whoa. And it's a hard pill, you know, but you know, anything in your life that you've ever, like anyone you've ever seen have trauma or whatever we've all gone through and denied, it always comes back.
Yep.
So, and I too feel like a little bit relieved, even though it's so messed up to say that, but I know what you mean. Like,
it's like it's not hidden anymore. It's something that everyone has to talk about. And I think I agree that seeing our shared humanity, but also seeing the ruthlessness of racism and how the ignorance of something could overtake a human being and make them monstrous and feel justified in their monstrosity of it's so uncomfortable. I laugh because it's just that on display was, I think, also such a huge part of that video was seeing the abject cruelty that a human being can have towards another, and how no one, you know, of good heart and mind wants to support that. So if you're on the wrong side of justice, then you are supporting that. You know, like if you're silent, you're supporting that. And so I think that was a real wake-up call for those of us who identify as white. And I think super important that it happened. Your song, what are the odds that your song that we remixed from, you know, from some time back, it's so appropriate?
Feels like it's like from, you know, God or something, like some other like mystical timing is happening, because it's a song about I want to be free. I just want to, you know, live my life, and I want it to be beautiful. And we're not asking for anything crazy. Like we just want to like have the spectrum of the rainbow, just like anyone else, like smart, dumb, criminal, you know, lawyer, genius, whatever. Like it's just all, we just want to be free to be whoever we're going to be. I think at the core of it, it's not a huge ask. And I don't think everyone should put themselves on emotional trial either. I mean, I think people have to look within and be like, okay, wow, how have I not knowingly contributed or knowingly or what? But I think it's going to take time to figure it out. You know, I see a lot of my friends are like, oh my God, I have to figure out, like, I don't know what to say anymore. And I feel horrible, you know, like a lot of,
you know, white people's fear to do anything, right?
Yeah.
It's also a way of not doing anything. And so it's better to step out and have someone go, you fucked up, than to not try, you know. And it is important that we just take our cues from those who do know and learn.
I'm learning too, because, you know, I grew up in a small town in Woodstock. You know, I kind of sheltered in a way, but you know, I got to know society and society got to know me. And been an interesting journey, especially in the music business, as a woman and as a brown woman. And in a way, putting this out with you and at this time feels perfect to me. I feel fortunate to be here in this moment, like with you, and putting this song out and being part of, celebrating the life of your brother, who was a very open-minded person. I'm just glad to be part of this rollout for this music, to be supporting music that you made with your brother and the group of musicians that surround you guys. And it's so easy to be on the wrong side, especially when you get into a professional, creative world. To be able to stick to your guns for a long time is, I guess, it's kind of rare,
It might be the future.
Just actually sticking to your guns, like people's actual souls. I think,
in an industry, that's what LaunchLeft is, and that's what it's like. Okay, so these aren't the voices that normally get heard, and this isn't the music that'll normally make it past the, or whatever. And we're more interested in activism and what's your heart say, and sticking to your guns, like you said. Although that expression comes right out of
go back. I know. Right? I think about everything that I say now. Right.
I'm just so happy to be alive during this time of revolution and to be sharing molecules with you and your music. And thank you so much for being a part of LaunchLeft and sharing your voice with us. And we just hope that it makes a difference, small difference, and that we do things that bend towards justice.
Bend towards justice. Yes. I like that. I like that.
That's what we're definitely interested in being a part of. So can you tell us just a little bit more about your song, or the remix, and why you chose to do it the way you did? Give us something a little maybe about the single. Tell us about your song.
Okay, well, my song "Beautiful One," which I had recorded as part of a previous record called "The Rescue," which was very much about finding inner peace and reconciling, going through something tragic, heartbreaking, and coming out of that. And once you walk through something like that, you're kind of bring it on, what do you got? I lived through something that nearly killed me. So I feel like I'm just going to sing, I want to sing about love. And that song came out of reimagining something that happened in my past as happening differently. A dream of how I wish it had happened, or a dream to go back to a dream night that was one beautiful time, and also feeling confused about what I was doing and where I was, and kind of refiguring out myself. And so when Beautiful One was oh, this is an empowerment song. I show my body in the video, and I'm I don't do that all the time, but I just felt like I wanted to be in my own skin and finding my own my own inner beauty and my own accepting of myself that I had kind of not been dealing with for a long time. I was more on the destruction of the self side of things, even though I feel I always had a connection to a higher being, that I feel has saved me. But we talked about Beautiful One, and we talked about some other options, but then kept coming back to this song, and it just felt why don't I do a remix? Because I had started learning how to record on my own, and I was getting better at it during the quarantine because there was a lot of time to work on stuff. I said, well, but maybe we can't release it because it's out. And then I was like, why don't I do a remix? I want to remix it. You're like, yeah, but I'm yeah, let's do a remix. So I was like, okay, thinking about who to do it. And I was like, well, maybe I'll give it a try. And I had run it backwards, in my garage band, and it sounded so cool backwards once by mistake. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds like another language or something beautiful. And I never knew what to do with it. And then when this opportunity came, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go in with this. And all I have right now is part of my freedom is to drive around in my car and blast music. That's a big thing. And I was like, I want to remix this song so people can blast this in their car and just drive and be yeah, sing and just feel that badass feeling. So it came out of it was just very, almost as when I go into paint something, which I started doing visual art, which is a lot of part of my healing myself. And when I went in to do this, it was kind of like that.
Well, it's a beautiful song, and I'm so glad it's going to get another release.
Thank you
on
for letting me
LaunchLeft.
go on and on and on.
I like that. That's going to be the whole Q&A. by the way. The whole Q&A is going to be talking about the song, so we're good. Thank you. That's what I needed. I needed you to go on and on about the song. Well, thank you, beautiful.
you.
You're beautiful. Love you. You're beautiful.
Love you.
Okay.
Mwah. Thanks.
LaunchLeft aims to create an intentional space that highlights and empowers all artists for whom radical creativity is not a choice, but a necessity. LaunchLeft begins with music, but its ultimate aim is to launch left-of-center artists in all creative fields.